Now, 66 people just recently died in an air tragedy inside of Iran, and this comes after another plane crash took place near Moscow, taking several lives. So far, it's shown that there have been more fatalities this year than there was for airplanes in 2017, which is one of the safest years ever on record. Eastman Airlines flight EP3704, the daily departure from Tehran, took off as normally scheduled after 8 a.m. to fly to Usaj, 344 miles south. The aircraft involved, an ATR-72, was 24 years old, which made it a relatively young part of the airline's fleet. The average age is more than a quarter of a century, making it one of the oldest fleets in the world. Now, it's not uncommon to see airplanes that are in the 20-plus years category. Both the British Airways and Virgin Atlantic are flying Boeing 747s, which are over 20 years old. BA Jumbojet flies to Delhi, has an age of 27. But it should be noted that these aircrafts are meticulously cared for with a great availability of alternate parts, things to replace things that are going or even just appear to be going. The problem is Iran doesn't have that kind of access because of the sanctions that have been placed against it by the United States. Now, it is far too early to tell exactly what caused the loss of EP3704, but this incident certainly does call attention to the lack of available parts for planes in Iran as a result of the sanctions that have been placed against the country. And now this is one of the things that makes the West safer to fly in, because they have access to those parts and the mechanics necessary. Now, it was the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres who expressed condolences over the people that have been lost in the plane accident in Iran's central Isfahan province. Now, the official deputy spokesman Farhan Haq said this in a statement on Sunday. The Secretary General was deeply saddened to learn the tragic airplane accident today near Yasouj, Iran. The Secretary General extends his heartfelt condolences to the families of the victims and to the people and government of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Now, if the UN was really so concerned about the lives of innocent people, particularly people who are just going about their daily, day-to-day business, wouldn't they have shown some more restraint when it comes to the sanctions that were placed on Iran? Why was it necessary to hinder civilian aircraft? How is that part of trying to de-incentivize Iran from building nuclear weapons, which is what supposedly this is all about? Why were civilian aircraft targeted? This was specifically intended to harm the infrastructure of the country. Public transportation, even at that being a private airline, is still a major part of being able to move people around the country. Having airlines is key to just about every country in the world. Domestic flights are incredibly important. In fact, for example, the United States would be absolutely crippled if they didn't have them. Yet, it seems that it's okay to go ahead and block civilian aircraft like this. Now, if you wanted to block parts for military aircraft, that would be, I guess, somewhat justifiable if you were to just completely ignore Iran's right to defend itself from its neighbors and U.S. imperialism. But to do this in such a way that it would harm civilian aircraft, placing civilians in danger, shows that those who wrote up this agreement and pressured Iran into signing it, essentially against their will, really have no concern for the Iranian people. Now, of course, we don't know yet if this was the cause of the crash, but we can definitely see this thing being the cause of crashes in the future. Nothing says a cold-blooded indifference to people inside of a country than to block them from having the necessary parts to safely fly from one part of the country to another. And this shows just another part of the ugly face that is the JCPOA agreement that has been placed against Iran to try to prevent them from developing nuclear weapons, which they could use to defend themselves from many of their neighbors like Israel, Saudi Arabia, and even the main imperialist power in the world, the United States. So my condolences to the people of Iran who lost people inside from this terrible accident, and hopefully this will incentivize or perhaps get the UN to rethink some of the sanctions that have been placed against the country so that incidences like this can be avoided in the future.
Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.